All Elite Wrestling is returning to the United Kingdom. Yeah, that's right. All In is coming to you on Sunday, the 25th of August, from Wembley Stadium in London. Welcome back to the Andrew Woodhouse Show. Today it's going to be something a little bit different. We're going to be discussing some pro wrestling. I'm really excited to be doing that. All Elite Wrestling is presenting their All In pay-per-view, the biggest show of the year in Wembley Stadium on Sunday, the 25th of August, and it's the second edition of this, following the amazingly successful 2023 edition, which pulled in 80,000 fans to the home of English football. Now, if you're not sure, if you just come back to the channel and you're not sure what's going on or what AEW is, well, I'll just give you a very, very quick overview. All Elite Wrestling was started 5 years ago by the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, by Cody Rhodes, and by Kenny Omega, with help from the Fulham FC owner Tony Khan, who bankrolled a lot of pretty much all of the operation, and still does to this day, as an alternative to the market leader, WWE, who many fans had felt had become stagnant and tepid, shall we say, under the stewardship of Vince McMahon, who, of course, is now out of the business in disgrace. But at the time, he still held an iron fist over pro wrestling. And what that meant was that matches were quite dull, storylines were nonsensical, characters had no continuation, no direction, and people wanted somewhere else to watch their wrestling. And that was AEW. AEW debuted on TV in October 2019 on TNT in the United States and ITV in the UK, and very, very quickly established itself as a place where you could see great wrestling, great stories, long-term stories which were missing in other wrestling programs, and fantastic action and things that were innovative and had never been done before. You also got the chance to see a lot of wrestlers who had been in WWE previously, like Chris Jericho, for instance, who needed some new direction and some new life in their careers, really. And that's where we come to AEW Dynamite, their weekly show, which has been really, really successful, both in America and in the United Kingdom. And over many, many years, some of the great veterans of pro wrestling have gone to AEW, like Christian and the former Edge, Adam Copeland, Bryan Danielson, Saraya, who was Paige in WWE, Mercedes Moné, who was Sasha Banks in WWE, and then you've got a lot of homegrown talent such as Jungle Boy Jack Perry, Darby Allin, MJF, Britt Baker, Willow Nightingale. People like that were fantastic. And what it's done is it's just put a complete... It's put brand new life into the wrestling industry. And what it did was it made WWE really think about how they were going to conduct their business. They ousted Vince McMahon. They put Triple H in charge. And as a result, they are having some of the most successful times of their existence. Well, certainly since the turn of the millennium. So, how it came around is that AEW, when they were having probably their most successful period in 2022, they announced that they were going to run a stadium show at Wembley. It was going to be the first ever UK show. Remember that most of the early going of AEW was conducted under the pandemic, during the COVID-19 era, shall we say, of pro wrestling, where it was behind closed doors, no fans or very few fans. It was mostly held in one venue, which was Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida, for the majority of 2020, before they took it back on the road again in 2021. And But there was a lot of demand for AEW to come over to the United Kingdom. And so Tony Khan and his team put together a stadium show which was held last August in astonishing scale and size of the event. Like I said, 80,000 people packed into Wembley to watch matches such as CM Punk versus Samoa Joe, which has now become actually more infamous. The match was great, but it's become more infamous for the fact that it was CM Punk's last AEW match, having got into a fight backstage before the contest. You had Will Ospreay versus Chris Jericho, and the main event was Adam Cole and MJF for the world title. So on to 2024, what can we expect from the second iteration of All In? Well, the second Wembley iteration of All In. And, well, it's been a turbulent couple of years for AEW. They haven't quite hit the heights that they did originally. They did in 2020, for instance, and in 2022, when they had a big influx of new stars, big influx of talent, some great, well-received stories and matches. But the green shoots of recovery are certainly coming in. The ratings have been slightly better. The attendances are slowly recovering. But the weekly show has been fantastic. The product they're putting on TV is the best that it has been in quite some time. And this leads to this card. So I'm going to run down the matches. I'm going to run down what I think is going to happen, and what to expect from a great night of wrestling, which is going to be on loads of different pay-per-view providers. Check where that's going to be. I will be probably watching it on YouTube. That's where I normally buy my AEW pay-per-views. You'll be able to buy a ticket for that. I think it's usually $16.99 English pounds, and you'll be able to watch that and replay it as many times as you like for a certain period of time. You can also still get tickets for the event. AEWTIX.com is the website. I'm not affiliated in any way with All Elite Wrestling, but obviously if you'd like to go, there are tickets starting at £27. So it's not too late for you to get down there. But do bear in mind though, if you are thinking of going and you are in the north of England or Scotland, for instance, there is a fair bit of disruption on the rail services on that day. That's the reason why I'm not going. Essentially, is because it would have either taken too long or been too expensive for me to go. From where I am in the country, which is in West Yorkshire. Right, so I don't know exactly whether this is going to be the order of matches, but I do have the card in front of me so I can run it down. The first match is a three-way tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team titles. That is the Young Bucks, that is Matthew and Nicholas Jackson versus FTR, which is Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. They were formerly the Revival in WWE. If there are any WWE fans here that are unfamiliar with AEW, versus the Acclaimed, that's Anthony Bowens and Max Caster. So all three teams have been former AEW World Tag Team Champions. And it's going to be interesting to see exactly sort of how that dynamic of the three-way match comes in. Now, I'm not sure exactly. I'm not entirely sure. I assume it'll be a normal three-way tag rules. I'm not sure whether they'll have to tag one person in or whether it will be tornado rules exactly. But it does mean that the Young Bucks, of course, are at a disadvantage because they don't even have to be pinned or submitted to lose their titles, so they're going to be on the defensive all the way through. FTR, They're a bit more smash mouth. They will come and punch you in the face, use tag a lot of double team moves, power moves, and the Acclaimed probably slightly more flashy. The youngest team in the match by some distance, so they'll be probably trying to maybe extend it out, use their cardio to their advantage, and they'll be trying to, of course, use their double team synergy to their advantage. But I'm not sure exactly who's going to take this one. My money is probably on the Acclaimed. I think it'd be a huge pop. I think the crowd would really enjoy it if the Acclaimed were to win the World Tag Team titles back, especially at Wembley where they're very popular. So I think we could see an Acclaimed victory there. That's my prediction. Second match, you've got Chris Jericho, part of the Learning Tree, versus Hook for the FTW title. Now, if you don't know, an FTW title was created. Wow, the rain's tipping down outside. By former ECW champion Taz, who you may remember as well from WWE and TNA, and he's now a commentator for AEW. And Hook is Taz's son. And the FTW title was, it's been traded around a few times. It's an unofficial championship. It stands for F the World. Chris Jericho, since he's had it in his possession, has been calling it the For the World title, as he is now a complete delusional buffoon as part of the Learning Tree with Big Bill and Brian Keith. And he's taking on Hook, Taz's son, who's a young wrestler with huge potential. He is sort of a bit like his father in that he's a somewhat undersized but very technically sound, suplex heavy wrestler with the Tazmission finish, which is the Red Rum as he calls it. And my prediction is at Wembley for Hook to take back the FTW title from Chris Jericho, who, to be fair, he gets a lot of stick, right? And some of it's deserved, but he vastly over-delivered in 2023 against Will Ospreay, and I think he will over-deliver again. Once Chris Jericho gets on pay-per-view, he usually pulls out his A game. So we'll see if we'll see what that one's going to be like. I think I'm going to say Hook by submission. There could be some shenanigans, of course, in that one, but I'm going to say Hook for the win in that one, literally and figuratively. So the AEW Trios titles are on the line. You've got the Patriarchy, who are the Trios champions. That's Christian, Cage, Nick Wayne, and Killswitch, who was Luchasaurus, versus the House of Black. That's Buddy Matthews, Malachi Black, and Brody King, versus the Bang Bang Gang. That's Jay White, Juice Robinson, and probably one of the Guns as well. It could be. It's Juice Robinson and the Guns, not Jay White. Jay White's not back yet. Jay White could be back at All In, but he's not quite back yet. So Christian's heel act has been so good over the last couple of years that he has just taken... He's doing the best work of his career, and he's 50 years old now. He's been a very cowardly heel. He's got his stable behind him, Nick Wayne and Nick Wayne's mother as well, Shayna, and Killswitch, who was Luchasaurus, now named in Christian's own image as a great father figure. And as a father figure that he is, he's going to try and obviously keep those AEW Trios titles on his person. But the House of Black are a bunch of destroyers, training MMA, many years of training in pro wrestling. Brody King is massive. Buddy Matthews is a complete, he's like a Ferrari. He's like a sports car. He's finely tuned. He's so athletic. And Malachi Black is a terrific striker. Everything he does is so precise. Everything he does is really crisp. I think they will be a big factor. And the Bang Bang Gang, they're probably going to cheat quite a lot, so it might be a little bit of a contest of who's going to cheat the most between the Patriarchy and the Bang Bang Gang. It's three groups of heels, basically. I think the House of Black is somewhere in between, but it's three groups of heels fighting for the Trios title. I think 9 men in the ring at once is going to be quite chaotic, but I think it's going to be a great match, and I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to raise those titles at the end of it. The next match coming up is the Casino Gauntlet. That works in... It is a traditional gauntlet match, except I think it's a random draw of who comes out. I'm never exactly 100% sure on the rules, and that one's on me. But when the gauntlet match is announced, there's always some surprises. Nearly always some surprises. There's a lot of rumours about people who are potentially coming in after leaving WWE. I think Ricochet could be in this match, potentially, if they're going to make some kind of impact like that with a surprise debut. I think you'd be a bit foolish to not pick up Ricochet if he's available. Could potentially even see someone like Dijak or Jinder Mahal. So we'll see what happens there. I'll be honest, they're usually not amazing matches, these gauntlet matches, but they do bring some story development, and you will get some surprises along the way. So I am looking forward to it. It's usually a good bit of fun in the middle of the card, so we'll see if they can deliver a good quality match as well at the same time. TBS title is on the line, one of the women's championships in All Elite Wrestling. Mercedes Moné, who was Sasha Banks in WWE, taking on Dr. Britt Baker for the TBS title. Moné is the champion. Baker is the challenger. Baker came back after a long absence off AEW TV. She even had a stroke, which could have been life-threatening in certain situations. So she's recovered from that. She's got in fantastic shape. She's absolutely shredded. And she's been one of the mainstays of AEW's women's division since 2019. The women's division is really ramping up, as we'll talk about in a few minutes with the women's title match as well. But Mercedes Moné, she's coming to AEW. She's only had a couple of matches. She's won the TBS title off of Willow Nightingale. And, you know, she's got Camille with her now as some enforcement, as her bodyguard, which, again, could play into the finish of this match. There is some possibility that Britt Baker might get some reinforcements. Maybe Jamie Hayter. Maybe somebody else. Who knows? But Baker is gunning for that TBS title. It should be a really good match. I'm hoping these guys have chemistry in the ring, because they've had some pretty good moments in the run up to this. But Moné, for me, she's still finding her feet on the microphone in AEW. But you know, her wrestling is really not questionable. You know, she's had some great matches over the years in WWE, in New Japan, in everywhere. So I think she can put on a good run here. I think Britt Baker is the perfect partner for her to do that, and hopefully we get a little bit of a mini classic in the making. Jack Perry is taking on Darby Allin for the TNT title. Now, Jack Perry's transformation from Jungle Boy to the scapegoat Jack Perry started at this very event last year, and that was because, well, I mentioned the backstage fight for CM Punk earlier on, and that was with Jack Perry. Now, whoever side you want to take on that, for me it looked like CM Punk was the aggressive party in that one, but it resulted in Jack Perry being suspended, get a long time off of AEW television, and he returned a few months ago. He attacked Tony Khan. He joined with the Elite, and he won the TNT title, and now he's effectively, we saw this week, he's effectively binned off the old title and he's forged a new one for himself. It's a great video on social media. If you go on Jack Perry's social media, I think it's even on AEW's, you can see him actually physically altering this belt, making this belt. It looks fantastic. Hopefully he doesn't just have it for a few days, but I think it could be a Darby Allin in a coffin match. I don't believe he's ever lost one, so it's hard to call a winner. I think it will be Jack Perry, because I just think the effort that's gone into that belt, I think he's going to have to keep the belt for a bit longer. Yeah, and we'll see what happens there. The AEW American Championship is on the line. Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, taking on Great Britain's own Will Ospreay for that title. MJF won the international title and he renamed it the American Championship. He's talked trash about Great Britain, British food, British wrestlers, British people. He's been on YouTube having a go at people like Wrestle Talk. And all I can say is, as a Brit, as a proud British person, I hope Will Ospreay wins. Because MJF, well, he's a scumbag. He's not my scumbag anymore. He's just a scumbag. And I hope Will Ospreay takes that title away for him and for the 50,000 people expected in Wembley Stadium. And speaking of scumbags, Mariah May has been unbelievably egregious in her deception of Toni Storm. Her friend that she was with for years and years, she followed around Stardom in Japan. She followed her path pretty much everywhere she went. Toni Storm took her under her wing. They were friends. Who knows, if maybe even more than friends. But Mariah May, after winning the Owen Hart tournament, viciously turned on Toni Storm, blasting her with the belt and then hammering away on her head with the shoe, the high heel, the point of the heel driven right into the forehead of Toni Storm. And Luther, Toni Storm's butler, got put through a table. And Mariah May, since then, has engaged in psychological and physical warfare with Toni Storm, culminating last night on Dynamite, where once again she attacked her with the shoe. Toni Storm was left in a heap. And, well, Toni Storm asked Mariah May, "Are you prepared to die? Because I am." Someone might for the AEW Women's Championship. And then on to the main event. The main event of the card. Just want to check that. I've just had a look at the chat. Hiya Derek, thanks for the comment from Australia, all that way. And Alex, Mr. Simpson, welcome to the channel, mate. It's good to see you in here. I hope everything's going well. Hopefully catch up soon. But yeah, it's Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Swerve Strickland the champion. Excuse me. Bryan Danielson the challenger. Now you may know Bryan Danielson as Daniel Bryan from WWE. He was in WWE for a long time, over 10 years. Even had an enforced retirement in the middle of that. But he is back in AEW. He's been in AEW for 3 years. He's had some amazing matches. He's had some great moments. But he has not won any championship since he's been in All Elite Wrestling. The stipulation for this, title versus career. Bryan Danielson wins, becomes the AEW World Champion for the first time. If Swerve Strickland wins, Bryan Danielson will retire. And this will be his last wrestling match ever. I have no idea who's going to win. Swerve Strickland has been really successful and ridiculously hot this last year or so. The crowds love him everywhere he goes. Bryan Danielson is probably the best wrestler in the world and has been, in his own words, for the last 20 years. He's main evented WrestleMania. He's won the World Heavyweight Championship. He's won the WWE Championship. He's had absolute classic matches in AEW. Is this going to be his last dance? Is it going to be the final countdown for Bryan Danielson on Sunday, August the 25th? I'm expecting this to be long. I'm expecting it to have twists and turns. I'm expecting it to be so super exciting, even emotional. Who's winning? Rumours that Danielson needs neck surgery, regardless of whether he wins or not. And that's, for me, is the only thing that's putting this in doubt, because I think that he will win and he will become the world champion. But then where does he go after that? Can he defend the title? Will he defend the title? I don't know. I hope it's not it for Bryan Danielson, because he's one of the best to ever do it. And I hope that it's not his final dance. If it is, thank you, Bryan Danielson, because you've been amazing and you've been one of the best ever. Swerve Strickland's title reign, though, has been so good that I don't want that to end either. He's a great champion. He looks fantastic with the belt. He's been doing some great work himself. He's been doing some great wrestling. I'm hoping that that whatever happens, we just get a good match. Nigel McGuinness could get involved even. He was not... Swerve Strickland wasn't really taking too kindly to him, and we know how much he hates Bryan Danielson, so he could even play into this this match in his home city of London, of course, on Sunday. Well, I tell you what, guys, All In is going to be amazing. I'm all in on it. And AEW, well, you know, let's not forget this is a company that's been around for just 5 years. And this is the second time that they're going to run Wembley Stadium. Over 50,000 expected this time for what is going to be a fantastic wrestling show. Could be one of the best ever. And in order to find out whether it is or not, go and watch it on YouTube, go and watch it on pay-per-view, buy a ticket at awtix.com and go and be all in yourself, because this thing is going to be unmissable. I will be back for more of the Andrew Woodhouse show tomorrow, when we're going to preview Sheffield Wednesday versus Leeds United, among other things, and up to date with some of the latest transfer news as well. So from me for today, it's goodbye, but have a great one, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.